Hi there, I'm Vivieno Caldinelli. I'm the director of Scared Shitless. And yes, this is my second feature film, my second theatrical long form. And I'm very excited. We're all very excited to have Scared Shitless play the Fantasy Film Fest.
Where you get your inspiration for the creature you designed?
I didn't have much to do with, to be honest, with the inspiration. That's Steve's job, Steve Kostansky's job. Like it was, my role is more complementary and building off of you know, um, the initial vision for that and what the creature would look like and stuff. Um, there was already with the short film a base of what the creature would look like, and kind of tadpole-esque, tentacle-esque combination with a head with teeth and thing, um, and mandibles of sorts. So working off of that, Steve did the creature, and then I just worked with Steve exactly how things would look and different things, and with the teeth and the mandibles and the eyes and how that would look. And Steve would just kind of take it from there and kind of, also too, you want to kind of, when you're working with other extremely talented creatives, you want to give them as much room to put their mark on things and to bring stuff to the table as much as possible. You don't want to micromanage and you don't want to impose. You want to kind of empower and collaborate and what have you. So, yeah, that's, I think, a very, very good example of something like that, where you have someone who has done fantastic work, incredible work, and you just want to let them do their thing the best they can, And sure, they ask you questions on what things you would see and stuff, but you let them kind of take what you've said and bring it to another level.
What was important for you then to like to how to create the dynamic of all the protagonists and the script?
When we were casting for the role of Dawn, we wanted someone who was very traditional, blue collar, alpha male type, but at the same time could have that vulnerability and warmth for the dynamic with the son. Because, yeah, a lot of people, they can have either or. And Steve was the one that we really found had both qualities and could really, really go to both poles quite easily. And even with Daniel, playing Sonny, it was the same thing. You wanted somebody you know, who could do comedy, but it can also act and be vulnerable and be scared, but also transition into someone as in like a leader and kind of take charge and kind of become the the son or the person that his father uh, is, kind of thing. It was kind of, it was tricky trying to find the right people, but we definitely, lucked out in that respect. And and just also with the dynamic, it's really just working about the comedy beats and making sure that you have actors that they're able to do comedy, deliver comedy, and give them a bit of room for improv and stuff, and make sure that their improv is funny and you know uh, being able to kind of let them roam free when the moment comes.
What I found really interesting was the mix of ages in the characters. So there are, well, the post teenagers, let's say, and then but a lot of elderly characters, and you don't see them so much
Yeah,
in horror films. You don't have any respect at all
no.
of the elderly.
Who's saying I don't have respect? Or the thing, just because we don't have much. We have elderly in there. We have a nice elderly couple. I think we have a good cross section of all ages and and things. So yeah, and I think what I really liked about the elderly couple is that they still have a very strong marriage, and they have and they're still doing whatever they can to be to have fun and to kind of push the boundaries of their their relationship kind of thing to get stronger.
In my perception, the film has like a retro look of the 80s, maybe. I recalled watching it. What would you say? What were the most important elements of your visual concept or the looks of the film?
Of the look of the film, it is like a kind of real balance between, horror, comedy, drama, and, I didn't want anything to kind of take away from the performances or for to overbear because sometimes, you're just people will just do cool shots just for the sake of making cool shots, and it kinda just takes away from the story or it takes away from the performances or it takes away from the thing, and unfortunately too, just with the time involved in making the film, we had only about 13 days to shoot it. It was very, very short. But it's more in a way to kind of just let the situation, let the performances, and let the scares, let the comedy do the driving, and so it's kind of more of a neutral, you know, uh, visual style, I would say, and it was definitely, purposeful. And yeah, and so you're just kind of watching and and just more engaged in what's going on as opposed to trying to visually overwhelm the audience.
Could you tell more about the color concept? Because I still have the impression that it was really specifically orchestrated.
To an extent, but I wouldn't say overwhelmed. It is definitely lots of blues and lots of whites and brights, and the kind of bathroom palettes, kind of bathroom mats, bathroom things, and it's kind of playing off those palettes. But I wouldn't say it was anything strongly motivating, the mood or anything that bit because what what we had is kind of like it's almost like horror in daylight. You know what I mean? And so it's got to be when things are normal, things are natural. When sometimes the worst things happen, that's when the most unexpected things happen. So not until the end does things get the lighting goes down and what have you. So it's more trying to keep things bright or lit, but at the same time, not kind of forcing you know darkness and forcing kind of a visual kind of low light just to make things scary, you know what I mean? And it's a bit harder to try to you know to get audiences engaged, in the stakes of the horror and stuff like that when things are bright, but yeah, I think that's something we effectively pulled off.
Could you say a little bit more about the soundtrack, how you developed the soundtrack? What were the most important aspects you wanted to emphasize?
It just the soundtrack was Blitz Berlin. They like, the score. They did such an amazing job. They were incredible. But above and beyond the sound, like with the soundtrack, with the Canadian tracks that we put in, those are all, and I don't know if any of those are familiar to you, but those are very kind of predominant Canadian classic from the 80s, from the 70s, classic rock music. And it all just kind of snowballed from Innocence, the opening song, when they're cooking dinner, when Don's cooking dinner. It's just a song. It's just one of my favorite songs from when I was a kid, and I still listen to all the time. Um, and then yeah, then it just kind of spiraled, and then eventually we thought, like, okay, well, we should just have strictly Canadian tracks in there, and yeah, and then that was it. And then so yeah, we kind of figured, we're Canadian, we're Canadian filmmakers, it's Canadian film, and we should try to make it Canadian from wall to wall.
Sacred Shitless is your second feature, as you said. What could you bring from your first feature to your second that made the production more easy or easier? Let's say.
No, well, I'm not the one to really talk. Like, I think it's more just like I would say Brandon and Lewis kind of thing. But yeah, any budget is difficult to put piece together and put together. Nothing is easy for sure when it comes to that amount of money. I know like low budgets and things, you know, might not seem a lot of money to make a movie, but just in the real world, that is a lot of money. You know what I mean? For a single person to put together. So I think it was all self financed. So there is something to that we got to we didn't have to listen to anybody, which was really really cool. We got to make the movie we wanted. So sure, there is the pain of raising that money, or you know what I mean, that they had to go through. But the reward is that you get to make the movie you want. So yeah.
We were quickly talking about the budget, or you just mentioned that it wasn't as enormous, let's say. What is was it difficult to get the budget?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. That's par for every movie. For every movie, generally, I always take a good pass at at the script with every movie I do, because also you just want to ensure that you're going to you have a script that that you can shoot, that you can execute, as a director. And so, for instance, an example is that the um, the scene with Dawn and the creature in the bathroom and the sun does. So that was very purposely changed because it was a big fight between everybody going into the creature and stuff like that and done done. And then I was just like, we can't because we only have so much money for set pieces and stuff. And I think it would actually be way more impactful if Dawn just grabs the creature, and they go out and you close the door and you just hang on the door and you have a soundscape. And then you don't have to shoot any of it. You just have to, all the heavy lifting is on Matt Sarantola, the sound engineer, to create that battle with the audio kind of thing. And yeah, and I love that scene. It's my favorite scene, and it's really impactful. And we didn't have to shoot it. So yeah, that I would say that's probably the best example of rewriting or changing something to make it fit, so we can make it work in the budget constraints and the schedule constraints as well.
Did you still have to make compromises of? Did you have to rewrite scenes because of the limited financial means?
Nothing over insane. It's just like I'm trying to think what were like kind of the big issues and stuff. It's more like having to have different. Steve gets busy and he can't kind of we didn't have the money to do reshoots, but we sent someone else did us a favor to kind of help finish off some of our missing plates and stuff like that. And they're off on the other side of the country, so communication's a bit broken and things. So I think stuff like that was a bit that were some of the issues. But yeah, I think we just had our just normal run of the mill post production issues, so to speak. But everything was pretty smooth for the most part. It's just when you're working with a low budget, you have to find the right people that will do the best job possible for the very little money that is available. And that's always going to be a hard search. So yeah, but luckily, Lewis did a great job finding the right people, and we got the movie that we wanted.
So to be very clear, so you are planning already a sequel.
Yeah,
Ah,
Brandon's hard at work with that. Yes,
right.
absolutely, absolutely.
Can you say a little bit about it, or?
Yeah, I think so. I think so. Um, well, yeah, I think what he's planning is having it in a hospital,
Mhm.
um, and it'll be one location again, is the thought, and yeah, and there'll be a bit of a role reversal. I think,
Mhm.
I think Sonny will be the will strange to be the man that the person that his father always hoped he would be, and Daniel's proud to be. And I think that's pretty much all I can say. I don't want to ruin too much, and I don't know how much Brandon might change or what have you. You know what I mean? But he's definitely busy at work. with doing that.
Cool. What kind of reaction did you have till now from the audience, and what do you wish for?
To be honest, the reaction that we're getting is exactly what I was hoping for, and the one thing that's really nice is it is kind of catching people a little off guard in a good way. Um, I think some people, yeah, going in, they thought it was not going to. They didn't think it was going to be the movie that they thought it was, and I don't know why. I think it is because of the title. I think some people might be a little dismissive of you know the actual kind of how fundamentally sound the film is. It's a real movie, and it's not just out there to only scare and to only kind of thing. There's a real story there, and people tend to come out being either very satisfied or surprised and satisfied that that was the case, and that makes me very, very happy.
Do you think that exactly the genre or fantasy films or genre films have this power to be able to transmit this more valid, more timeless stories?
I don't know. I don't know if they can do that more than the other kind of genres, other types of films. I just think sometimes they get easily dismissed. So when there is a film that does deliver like in a good way like that, it feels exceptional. I don't know if that makes sense. And then so that makes it kind of last longer, and that like, makes it kind of transcend.
Maybe you could just say in a few more words, why do you like this genre so much?
Because you can do anything with it. I think it's the most versatile genre, you know? And, it's, you can be funny. You can be obviously scary. You could be dramatic. You could be, like dead serious. Um, it is versatile. It is the most versatile to me. You know what I mean? And horror was always my love, and comedy. You know, but I always worked more with comedy. I always directed comedy starting out. That was my thing. And horror was always my love. That those I would always watch horror movies, whatever, and was a huge fan. But I would always love comedy. I was sorry. I come from a comedy background, and like directing, a little bit of writing, and what have you. But generally, I was always a comedy director, like professionally, and horror was always just my love, my passion, kind of thing. And that I would watch, and what have you. That's where I would spend my free time. But the two are extremely similar. The pacing, timing, all of that, how it kind of comes through, and it's both working to get a reaction, a very, very strong reaction, a strong emotion, and kind of, but at the same time, laughing and screaming are kind of the polar opposites of emotion, kind of thing. So it's that I love how that works, because professionally, as you're working, you're essentially timing wise and thing. It's the same kind of thing, but you're getting two completely different reactions. But how you go about it sometimes is the same thing as a director and as with timing and stuff. If that makes any sense whatsoever. But yeah, because you're working in beats and timings and pacing and what have you. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like the same tools, the same um, strategies you use for timing and beats and waiting and then to elicit a laugh. It's the same as kind of getting a scare, and but they're two completely different things, which are opposite things, which I love. I love that about it.
Do you remember a film that you watched twice, and for example, once in a theater and once again, and then you had different reactions to it?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. That was the last one. When I first watched it, I didn't like it at all. I was just like, "What the hell?" And I love Tarantino stuff. I was just like, "What?" Like, I didn't know what to expect, and I was just looking, and I didn't know. And then a friend of mine wanted to go see it, and I have just too much respect for him. I was like, I gotta go back again and see what the thing." and I went to see it in the theater again, and then it clicked. And then then like 2 days later, I went to the theater and I watched it again. Saw it 3 times in 1 week in the theater. It's probably like it's my favorite movie of his by far. But my first reaction was, yeah, I don't know why I didn't. I just my expectations and what it was and this and that. I just was a little like, I think it just maybe like in retrospect, I think it really affected me so much. It shook me that I didn't really know what, you know what I mean? Like I was just kind of stunned. And then I had to go see it again, and I could see it a little bit like, and I could understand it. And also, I think for a man that movie was, definitely it, it's kind of made. I think for, if you have those, it's really about the male relationships and coming and going and but but yeah, it's that's the last movie I would say for sure that I had to go see in the theater, and I had one feeling about it, and then immediately went like again, and complete opposite, so to speak.